Story 1: Inheritance of Memories. In the quaint echoes of my childhood home, memories of my mother lingered in the heirlooms she left behind, precious treasures imbued with love and nostalgia. As I navigated the complexities of family dynamics, the legacy of these heirlooms became a focal point of contention between myself and my entitled sister-in-law, Elise. With my mother's passing a decade ago, I inherited a few cherished pieces, including her beloved watch, symbolizing a connection to her enduring presence. Yet, tensions arose when my brother, David, and his fiancée, Rachel, demanded a share of the heirlooms for their own. Despite my mother's clear intentions to pass these treasures to my daughters, David and Rachel asserted their claim, citing tradition and familial expectations. Caught between honoring my mother's wishes and appeasing familial pressure, I found myself torn between duty and autonomy. As discussions escalated, emotions ran high, revealing rifts within our family that had long remained dormant. Despite my efforts to find a compromise, Rachel's insistence on her entitlement to the heirlooms only deepened the divide, threatening to unravel the bonds that once held us together. In the face of her demands, I stood firm, determined to safeguard the legacy entrusted to me and my daughters. Ultimately, I chose to honor my mother's memory and uphold her wishes, refusing to succumb to the pressures of tradition and expectation. Though the road ahead may be fraught with challenges, I take solace in the knowledge that the legacy of love and connection embodied in these heirlooms will endure, transcending the conflicts of the present. And as I hold fast to the memories they represent, I find strength in the knowledge that the bonds of family, though tested, are resilient in their capacity to endure. Story 2: Finding Sanctuary. Returning to my hometown after a series of heartaches, I sought refuge in the familiar embrace of my parents' rural property. With their gracious invitation to stay for as long as needed, I embarked on a journey of renewal, pouring my soul into renovating the old family house. Each nail hammered and paint stroke applied became a symbol of my determination to rebuild my life from the ground up. Amidst my solitary endeavors, fate intervened in the form of Alina, a Ukrainian refugee with a young daughter, seeking shelter from life's storms. Touched by her plight, I extended a hesitant invitation, offering her temporary respite under my roof. Together, we formed an unlikely bond, finding solace in each other's company amidst the chaos of our lives. However, tranquility was shattered when my sister Claire, the family's golden child, faced financial ruin due to her husband's shady business dealings. With nowhere else to turn, Claire and her family descended upon our parents' home, disrupting the peace I had painstakingly cultivated. Suddenly, the sanctuary I had crafted with love and care was threatened, and I found myself at a crossroads between familial duty and personal autonomy. As pressure mounted from my parents and extended family to sacrifice my haven for the sake of my sister and niece, I grappled with conflicting emotions. Yet, in the midst of uncertainty, my brothers stood unwaveringly by my side, offering a beacon of support in the storm. With their encouragement, I found the strength to assert my right to a place to call home, refusing to surrender the haven I had worked so hard to create. In the end, I made a choice, to reclaim my autonomy and assert my right to sanctuary. Though guilt and familial pressure weighed heavily on my heart, I knew that my home was not just a physical space but a symbol of my resilience and strength. And as I stood amidst the walls I had lovingly restored, I realized that no matter what trials lay ahead, I would always find solace within the sanctuary of my home. Story 3: Once upon a time, I was happily married to my spouse, Jess. Our life together was filled with love, laughter, and shared dreams. However, amidst our blissful existence, there lingered a shadow from the past, a person named Sam. Sam was someone I had been deeply connected to in the past. We had shared moments of joy, but also weathered storms of uncertainty and pain together. Despite our history, Sam had become very ill, with little time left on this earth. Their final wish was to have a conversation with me, face to face, before departing from this world. When Sam's sister reached out to me, conveying Sam's wish, my heart sank. I knew I had to tell Jess, my beloved spouse, about this. As I sat down with Jess to share the news, I could see the concern in their eyes. Jess was hesitant, fearful of what this meeting might entail and how it could potentially impact our relationship. We talked about it for hours, weighing the pros and cons, trying to find a solution that would honor Sam's wish while also respecting Jess's feelings. But no matter how much we discussed it, we couldn't seem to reach a consensus. On one hand, I felt a sense of duty towards Sam, a desire to offer comfort and closure in their final moments. On the other hand, I couldn't bear the thought of causing any distress to Jess or jeopardizing the trust and love we shared. As days passed, the weight of the decision weighed heavily on my shoulders. I found myself torn between my past and my present, between loyalty and love. It was a dilemma that seemed impossible to resolve. In the midst of our deliberations, Jess and I shared moments of vulnerability and honesty that deepened our bond even further. We spoke openly about our fears and insecurities, about the uncertainties of life and the complexities of relationships. Eventually, I reached a decision. I knew it wouldn't be easy, and it might cause some tension between Jess and me, but I felt it was the right thing to do. I had to honor Sam's wish and offer them the chance to say their final goodbye. When I told Jess about my decision, they were understandably upset. There were tears, arguments, and moments of doubt. But deep down, I think Jess understood why I needed to go. They knew that my heart was torn between love and duty, and they respected my choice, even if it hurt. So, with a heavy heart and a sense of trepidation, I made arrangements to visit Sam. It was a journey filled with uncertainty and emotion, but I knew it was something I had to do. When I finally arrived at Sam's bedside, the air was heavy with sadness and regret. But as we began to talk, something magical happened. The years melted away, and we were transported back to a time when we were young and carefree, full of hopes and dreams. We laughed, we cried, we reminisced about the good times and the bad. And in that moment, all the pain and bitterness of the past seemed to fade away, replaced by a sense of peace and acceptance. Sam apologized for past mistakes, and I forgave them without hesitation. We shared stories, exchanged words of love and gratitude, and said our final goodbyes. As I left Sam's side and made my way back home, I felt a sense of closure and contentment wash over me. I had honored Sam's wish, but I had also reaffirmed my commitment to Jess and our life together. When I returned home, Jess was waiting for me with open arms. We held each other tightly, knowing that we had weathered yet another storm together and emerged stronger than ever. In the end, our love prevailed, bridging the divide between past and present, duty and desire. And as we looked towards the future, hand in hand, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, united in love and understanding.
Story 4. Once upon a time, I lived in a cozy little house in a quiet neighborhood. It was a place where I felt safe and happy, surrounded by memories of a life well lived. But one day, everything changed when my sister, Emily, came knocking on my door with a demand that shook me to my core. Emily, my younger sister by 3 years, had always been the golden child in our family. She was the first to achieve milestones, the one who seemed to have it all together. So, when she stood on my doorstep, her expression steely and determined, I knew something was amiss. "Sarah," she said, her voice firm and unwavering, "I need you to give me this house." I was taken aback, my mind reeling with confusion. Why would Emily, who already had a beautiful home of her own, want mine? Before I could respond, she launched into her explanation. "Tom lost his job," she said, referring to her husband. "And with little Sophie to take care of, we need a place to stay. This house is perfect, and you don't need all this space anyway, especially since..." She trailed off, her gaze flickering with sympathy. I knew what she was implying. Since my boyfriend's passing, it had been a devastating blow, leaving me adrift in a sea of grief and uncertainty. But this house, this sanctuary that I had painstakingly renovated and made my own, was my anchor in the storm. Still, Emily wasn't alone in her request. My parents, ever eager to please their golden child, had taken her side without hesitation. They echoed her sentiments, telling me that it was time for me to move on, to let go of the past and make room for my sister and her family. I felt a surge of anger and betrayal rise within me. How could they ask this of me? How could they expect me to give up everything I had worked so hard for, just to accommodate Emily's sudden misfortune? As the days passed, tensions within the family reached a boiling point. Emily's demands grew more insistent, while my resolve to stand my ground only strengthened. I refused to be bullied out of my own home, no matter how much pressure they put on me. Meanwhile, little Sophie, my niece, became the unwitting pawn in this family drama. Spoiled and indulged by everyone around her, she was shielded from the harsh realities of life, unaware of the sacrifices others were being asked to make on her behalf. In the midst of this chaos, I found solace in an unexpected friendship. Alina, a Ukrainian refugee with a young daughter of her own, entered my life like a breath of fresh air. Despite her own struggles, she radiated warmth and resilience, reminding me that kindness and compassion still existed in the world. I invited Alina to stay with me for a while, offering her a temporary refuge from the hardships she faced. Together, we formed a bond forged in shared adversity, finding strength in each other's company. But even Alina's presence couldn't shield me from the relentless pressure exerted by my family. They continued to badger me, to guilt-trip me, to make me question my own worth and my right to happiness. In the end, it all came to a head during a heated confrontation with my parents. Faced with their ultimatum, give up the house or face ostracism from the family, I stood my ground with a steely resolve I never knew I possessed. If you want to evict me, I said, my voice trembling with emotion, then do it. But don't expect me to surrender without a fight. This house is my home, and I won't give it up without a fight. In the days that followed, I received countless messages and calls from extended family members, all urging me to reconsider, to put aside my own needs for the sake of my sister and her child. But I remained steadfast, refusing to be swayed by their words or their thinly veiled threats. And then, just when it seemed like all hope was lost, a miracle occurred. My brother-in-law, Tom, announced that they would be leaving town, his job prospects elsewhere offering a glimmer of hope in their time of need. With Emily and her family gone, the pressure lifted, and I was free once again to reclaim my life and my home. But the scars left by the ordeal ran deep, serving as a stark reminder of the lengths to which family loyalty could be stretched and tested. As I looked around at the house that had been both my refuge and my battleground, I vowed never to forget the lessons I had learned, about resilience, about courage, and about the true meaning of home. Story 5. In the quaint town where I reside, memories of my beloved mother, who departed this world a decade ago, linger in every corner. Among the treasures she left behind are a few precious pieces of jewelry, each carrying its own tale of love and nostalgia. These pieces were destined for my 3 daughters, a promise made to commemorate the special bond they shared with their grandmother. However, when my brother, Daniel, and his fiancée, Rachel, entered the scene, the tranquility of our family dynamic was disrupted. Daniel, always the troublemaker, arrived with Rachel, a woman whose sweet demeanor concealed a fierce sense of entitlement. Upon learning of the heirloom jewelry, they immediately laid claim to one of the pieces for Rachel, arguing that it was customary for in-laws to receive such gifts. Their insistence grew stronger with each passing day, fueled by comparisons to the practices of royal families. Caught between honoring my mother's wishes and preserving family harmony, I found myself in a predicament. My daughters had long awaited the day when they would inherit these precious heirlooms, and I couldn't bear to disappoint them. Yet, I also wished to avoid conflict with my brother and his fiancée, whose demands threatened to unravel the fabric of our family ties. As tensions escalated, I grappled with the weight of my decision, knowing that whatever choice I made would leave someone feeling aggrieved. In the end, I chose to stand by my daughters, prioritizing their happiness and the memory of their grandmother above all else. Though the road ahead may be fraught with challenges, I am determined to navigate it with integrity and love, holding fast to the values instilled in me by my dear mother. Story 6. Amidst the chaos of life, unexpected twists often emerge, challenging our resolve and testing the bonds that hold us together. Such was the case when I received a call from my ex-girlfriend's sister, bearing news that would turn my world upside down. My ex-girlfriend, Emily, whom I hadn't spoken to in years, was gravely ill, her days numbered by a relentless disease. Despite our past differences and the passage of time, she harbored a final wish, to speak with me face to face, one last time. Her sister implored me to grant her this request, emphasizing the importance of closure for Emily in her final days. Upon hearing this news, I was torn. Memories of our tumultuous relationship flooded my mind, reminding me of the pain we had inflicted upon each other. Yet, beneath the scars of our past lay a flicker of compassion, a desire to offer solace in the twilight of her life. Turning to my wife, I shared Emily's plea, hoping for understanding and support. However, her response was swift and resolute. She adamantly opposed the idea, fearing the reopening of old wounds and the potential repercussions on our marriage. Her words echoed with apprehension, urging me to prioritize our present over a chapter long closed. Caught between duty and loyalty, I grappled with the weight of my decision. On one hand, I yearned to honor Emily's final wish, to offer her the closure she sought in her darkest hour. On the other, I could not ignore the impact it might have on my marriage, the trust and stability we had worked so hard to build. In the end, after much deliberation and soul-searching, I made a choice. Ignoring the protests of my wife, I set out to fulfill Emily's last request, guided by a sense of compassion and the belief that even in the darkest moments, a sliver of light can illuminate the path forward. Arriving at the hospice, I was met with a somber atmosphere, the weight of impending loss hanging heavy in the air. As I entered Emily's room, I was struck by the frailty of her form, a stark contrast to the vibrant spirit I had once known. Seated by her bedside, we spoke, the words flowing freely as if no time had passed between us. Memories, both bitter and sweet, danced in the space between us, weaving a tapestry of shared experiences and unspoken regrets. In those precious moments, as the shadows of the past gave way to the light of forgiveness, I found peace. Though our journey together had been fraught with challenges, it had also been filled with moments of joy and love, moments that lingered in the recesses of my heart. As I bid Emily farewell, I felt a sense of closure wash over me, a recognition of the healing power of forgiveness and the importance of embracing life's complexities with an open heart. And though our paths would diverge once more, I knew that the lessons learned in that room would stay with me always, guiding me through the trials and triumphs yet to come. Story 7. I never expected a simple envelope to hold the key to unlocking the secrets of my past. It arrived on an ordinary Tuesday, nestled among bills and junk mail, its pristine white surface devoid of any marking save for my name scrawled in elegant script. Intrigued by its mysterious appearance, I slid open the seal and withdrew its contents, a single photograph, its edges curling with age. As I gazed upon the image, a flood of memories washed over me, transporting me back to a time long forgotten. In the picture, a couple stood bathed in the soft glow of candlelight, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. Though the colors had faded and the corners had yellowed with time, their smiles remained etched in my mind with crystal clarity. Who were these people, and why had they chosen to reach out to me after all these years? The questions swirled in my mind, elusive as smoke, as I examined the photograph for any clues. There was no mistaking the love that radiated from their eyes, nor the sense of joy that seemed to permeate the air around them. Determined to uncover the truth, I set out on a journey to unravel the mystery of the photograph, following the faintest whispers of memory down a winding path of nostalgia and longing. With each step, the past came alive before me, its vivid tapestry woven with threads of laughter and tears, hope and despair. I retraced the footsteps of my childhood, revisiting familiar haunts and forgotten corners of my hometown in search of clues. Along the way, I encountered old friends and acquaintances, each offering their own piece of the puzzle, until the picture began to take shape before my eyes. It was during one such encounter that I stumbled upon a name long buried in the recesses of my mind, a name that sent shivers down my spine and set my heart pounding with anticipation. Sarah. The memories came flooding back in a torrent, washing over me with a force that left me breathless. Sarah, with her fiery spirit and infectious laughter, had been my closest friend and confidant throughout my youth, her presence a beacon of light in an otherwise dark and tumultuous world. But Sarah had vanished without a trace one fateful summer, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and a gaping hole in my heart. I had searched high and low for any sign of her, clinging to the hope that she would one day return and bring with her the answers I so desperately sought. And now, here she was, staring back at me from the faded photograph, her eyes sparkling with mischief and promise. The realization hit me like a thunderbolt. Sarah was the woman in the picture, and she had come back to me after all these years. With newfound determination, I delved deeper into the mystery of Sarah's disappearance, piecing together fragments of memory and rumor to uncover the truth hidden beneath layers of secrecy and deceit. Along the way, I encountered old allies and adversaries, each offering their own version of events and motivations, until the lines between truth and fiction blurred beyond recognition. But through it all, one thing remained constant: my unwavering belief in Sarah's innocence and my steadfast determination to clear her name, no matter the cost. With each revelation, the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, revealing a web of lies and betrayal that stretched far beyond anything I could have imagined. In the end, it was Sarah herself who provided the key to unlocking the truth, her words a balm to my wounded soul and a beacon of hope in the darkness. Together, we confronted the demons of our past, laying bare the secrets that had haunted us for so long and forging a path forward into the light. As I looked once more at the photograph that had started it all, I realized that it was not just a relic of the past, but a symbol of the bond that had endured between us through all the trials and tribulations of life. And though the journey had been long and arduous, it had brought me back to where I belonged, in the arms of my dearest friend, Sarah, where I had always been meant to be. Story 8. In the quiet hours of the morning, a familiar voice echoed through the chambers of my mind, beckoning me back to a time long forgotten. It was the voice of my sister, Annie, her words tinged with urgency and longing. "Come home," she whispered, her voice a gentle melody that stirred something deep within my soul. The memories came flooding back in a torrent, washing over me with a force that left me breathless. Annie, with her fiery spirit and infectious laughter, had been my closest companion and confidant throughout my youth, her presence a constant source of comfort and joy in an otherwise tumultuous world. But Annie had vanished without a trace one fateful summer, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and a gaping hole in my heart. I had searched high and low for any sign of her, clinging to the hope that she would one day return and bring with her the answers I so desperately sought. And now, here she was, reaching out to me from across the miles, her voice a lifeline in the darkness. With trembling hands, I dialed her number, my heart pounding with anticipation as I waited for her to answer. "Hello." Her voice was a balm to my wounded soul, her words a soothing melody that washed over me like a gentle tide. "It's me," I whispered, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm coming home." The journey back to my childhood home was fraught with uncertainty and trepidation, each mile bringing me closer to the truth that awaited me. As the familiar landmarks came into view, my heart swelled with a mixture of hope and fear, unsure of what lay ahead but determined to face it head-on. Annie greeted me at the door with open arms, her eyes sparkling with mischief and promise. "Welcome home," she said, her voice filled with warmth and affection. And in that moment, all the pain and heartache of the past melted away, replaced by a sense of belonging and acceptance that I had longed for all these years. Together, we revisited old haunts and familiar landmarks, each step a testament to the bond that had endured between us through all the trials and tribulations of life. Along the way, we encountered old friends and acquaintances, each offering their own version of events and motivations, until the lines between truth and fiction blurred beyond recognition. But through it all, one thing remained constant, my unwavering belief in Annie's innocence and my steadfast determination to clear her name, no matter the cost. With each revelation, the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, revealing a web of lies and betrayal that stretched far beyond anything I could have imagined. In the end, it was Annie herself who provided the key to unlocking the truth, her words a balm to my wounded soul and a beacon of hope in the darkness. Together, we confronted the demons of our past, laying bare the secrets that had haunted us for so long and forging a path forward into the light. As I looked once more at the photograph that had started it all, I realized that it was not just a relic of the past, but a symbol of the bond that had endured between us through all the trials and tribulations of life. And though the journey had been long and arduous, it had brought me back to where I belonged, in the arms of my dearest sister, Annie, where I had always been meant to be. Story 9. The morning sun cast a golden hue over the rolling hills that surrounded my childhood home, painting the landscape in hues of amber and gold. It was a picture-perfect day, the kind that whispered promises of adventure and possibility on the gentle breeze that rustled through the trees. I stood at the edge of the forest, my heart pounding with excitement as I surveyed the familiar surroundings. This place held a lifetime of memories for me, each tree and rock imbued with the echoes of laughter and joy that had once filled these woods. But today was different. Today, I was on a quest to uncover the truth behind the mysterious disappearance of my beloved childhood friend, Emily. Emily had been my constant companion throughout my youth, her bright eyes and infectious laughter lighting up even the darkest of days. Together, we had explored every inch of these woods, forging a bond that seemed unbreakable in the innocence of our youth. But then, one day, Emily vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and a gaping hole in my heart. I had searched high and low for any sign of her, clinging to the hope that she would one day return and bring with her the answers I so desperately sought. And now, years later, I stood on the threshold of the forest once more, determined to unravel the mystery of her disappearance once and for all. With each step I took, the memories came flooding back in a torrent, washing over me with a force that left me breathless. I followed the winding path deeper into the heart of the forest, the canopy of trees overhead casting dappled shadows on the forest floor below. The air was thick with the scent of pine and earth, mingling with the distant sounds of birdsong and rustling leaves. As I ventured further into the forest, I began to notice subtle signs of life, broken twigs, disturbed undergrowth, and the faint traces of footprints leading deeper into the woods. With each passing moment, the sense of unease that had been building within me grew stronger, until it was all I could do to keep from turning back and fleeing into the safety of the daylight beyond. But something compelled me to press on, driving me forward with a sense of purpose that bordered on obsession. I had come too far to turn back now, too invested in uncovering the truth to let fear hold me back. And then, just as I was beginning to lose hope, I saw it. A glimmer of something shiny caught my eye, drawing me deeper into the heart of the forest. With trembling hands, I reached out and grasped the object, my heart pounding with anticipation as I turned it over in my hands. It was a locket, its surface worn and weathered with age, but still glimmering with the promise of secrets waiting to be revealed. With trembling hands, I opened the locket and gasped at what I saw inside, a faded photograph of Emily, her bright eyes sparkling with mischief and laughter, her smile a balm to my wounded soul. As I stared down at the photograph, a flood of memories came rushing back, the long summer days spent exploring the woods, the laughter and joy that had filled our hearts, and the unbreakable bond that had once held us together. But alongside the memories came a sense of sorrow and regret, a nagging feeling that I had failed Emily in some fundamental way. I had let her down when she needed me most, abandoning her to the darkness that lurked within the heart of the forest. With a heavy heart, I tucked the locket into my pocket and turned to leave the forest behind, the weight of the memories weighing heavily on my shoulders. But even as I walked away, I knew that I could never truly leave this place behind, that a part of me would always remain here, forever entwined with the mysteries of the forest and the secrets it held within. Story 10. The sun was setting in a blaze of fiery hues, casting long shadows across the dusty streets of the small town where I grew up. It was a quiet evening, the air heavy with the scent of wildflowers and the distant hum of crickets chirping in the fields beyond. I stood on the front porch of my childhood home, my heart heavy with the weight of memories that seemed to hang in the air around me. This place held a lifetime of secrets, each one buried deep within the walls of the old house and the streets of the town that had once been my whole world. But tonight, something felt different. Tonight, I could sense a change in the air, a shift in the fabric of reality that sent shivers down my spine and set my heart racing with a mixture of fear and anticipation. I had returned to this town with a purpose that had haunted my dreams for years and now drove me forward with a sense of urgency that bordered on desperation. I had come back to confront the ghosts of my past, to uncover the truth behind the events that had torn my family apart and left me adrift in a sea of uncertainty. As I stepped out into the fading light of the evening, I felt a surge of determination wash over me, driving me forward with a sense of purpose that I had not felt in years. I knew that the answers I sought lay somewhere within the heart of this town, buried beneath layers of secrecy and lies that had long since been forgotten by the world at large. With each step I took, the memories came flooding back in a torrent, washing over me with a force that threatened to overwhelm my senses. I saw myself as I had been all those years ago, a wide-eyed child with dreams of adventure and a heart full of hope, unaware of the darkness that lurked just beyond the edges of my consciousness. But now, as I wandered the streets of my hometown, I saw things with new eyes that had been opened to the harsh realities of life and the pain of loss that had shaped my destiny in ways I could never have imagined. As I walked, I found myself drawn to the old cemetery that lay on the outskirts of town, its weathered headstones standing as silent sentinels to the passage of time. It was here, amongst the crumbling graves and tangled undergrowth, that I knew I would find the answers I sought. With each step I took, the sense of unease that had been building within me grew stronger, until it was all I could do to keep from turning back and fleeing into the safety of the daylight beyond. But something compelled me to press on, driving me forward with a sense of purpose that bordered on obsession. And then, just as I was beginning to lose hope, I saw it. A glimmer of something shiny caught my eye, drawing me deeper into the heart of the cemetery. With trembling hands, I reached out and grasped the object, my heart pounding with anticipation as I turned it over in my hands. It was a locket, its surface worn and weathered with age, but still glimmering with the promise of secrets waiting to be revealed. With trembling hands, I opened the locket and gasped at what I saw inside, a faded photograph of my mother, her bright eyes sparkling with mischief and laughter, her smile a balm to my wounded soul. As I stared down at the photograph, a flood of memories came rushing back, the long summer days spent exploring the town, the laughter and joy that had filled our hearts, and the unbreakable bond that had once held us together. But alongside the memories came a sense of sorrow and regret, a nagging feeling that I had failed my mother in some fundamental way. With a heavy heart, I tucked the locket into my pocket and turned to leave the cemetery behind, the weight of the memories weighing heavily on my shoulders. But even as I walked away, I knew that I could never truly leave this place behind, that a part of me would always remain here, forever entwined with the mysteries of the cemetery and the secrets it held within.